everyone, and welcome to episode 14 of the Slated Double Features podcast with your hosts, Joshua Francisco Mitchell. I can't believe you just interrupted the introduction with a huge burp. I'm not introducing you anymore.
Me. It was really boring.
You've got to introduce yourself now.
Okay, with the fetch as fuck, Matthew Vivian. Hello, how are you?
Great, how are you?
I'm great, how are you?
I'm fine. We're recording this in the same room as we do every week, and I can confirm that was a stinky burp. Anything over our last week? Should we go straight into weekly roundup Yee Haw?
I would love nothing more.
Go on then, you tell me, because I have not seen anything.
Okay, so the first thing I watched was Taika Waititi's new film. I say new film, it was filmed in 2019.
The
Next Goal Wins.
Next Goal Wins.
Which, I remember that being announced just like when Jojo Rabbit was doing the press circuit. I think they'd already filmed it. Or they were like, I think they filmed it like end of 2019, start 2020. So it was like, okay, this is going to be his next film. And then Thor: Love and Thunder came out, and then it flopped and it finished. And then this finally dropped with little to no press.
A couple of adverts, a couple of like posters around town.
Yeah, I saw some trailers before the cinema, I guess, but it wasn't like, you didn't see like Taika Waititi's face everywhere. Michael Fassbender, I never saw say a word about it.
Yeah,
even though he's the lead. You could tell. I mean, look, the film is not great. It's just so right. I've actually got a couple of cursed double features for it. So
wow, in the weekly roundup Yee Haw.
In the weekly roundup Yee Haw, I know I'm breaking the format. So I know this. You've seen this first one. I haven't actually written it down, but I'm just going to improv it. Next Goal Wins and Champions, which is about an American middle-aged coach with like an anger problem who coaches a prestigious team, but then sort of as a punishment because of his own troubles in his personal life get in the way.
He's quite rude.
He's demoted and he has to instead teach a terrible team, and they're all just useless and incompetent. But whereas in Champions they are disabled adults, in Next Goal Wins they're from American Samoa. But I feel like the more incompetent team are the American Samoans. And basically, it's not that good. It's just it's literally just the formula of a like sports biopic film, but like they're a bad team. It's the same as Cool Runnings. I could do a custom feature with them.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be an actual comedy, not just shit.
No, it is. The only reason I would give it any stars, I think I'd give it like 2.5 or something, is because it is quite funny. No, but it is. I did laugh a few times. Other bits fell flat. I think the main problem with it is, Cool Runnings is good because. John Candy's one of the leads, but he isn't the lead. The Jamaican bobsled team are like just as big a characters as he is. Whereas in this, one of the team is like a main character. I think they call it a Fafafine. It's like a sort of Polynesian like third gender. She's in it quite a lot, and that's pretty much it. There's the old goalkeeper who comes back at like halfway through, but apart from that, you barely see the team. And it's just fucking faffs around with Michael Fassbender, who I don't care about. So. I'm not going to waste any more of your time. It's an okay film, not one of his best. In fact, possibly his worst.
Wow. I mean, you did laugh a couple of times because I remember I was trying to get to sleep and had to roll over and elbow you.
And I was going
to say, you can watch, but I do have work tomorrow.
It's funny because they're so stupid because they're from American Samoa. Not one of these has any intellect whatsoever.
Not like us football goers over here in sunny England. Oh wow! So I shan't be watching that then. I will avoid it. Thank you for the advice.
Well, I actually have another cursed double feature, which will then link me into my next one. Oh my God!
Goodness.
I'm such a genius. So I have Next Goal Wins and see if you can work out what this film is. They're both 2023 films where the main character passionately sings along to Chandelier by Sia in their car. You've seen it.
Have I?
Yep, except the scene in the one that isn't Next Goal Wins is a very good scene and a very good movie.
Champions.
No, you fucking idiot. It's Talk to Me.
I don't know. I cannot remember.
At the start
does that happen?
They find the kangaroo in the road. It does happen.
Oh my God.
And it's a really good scene because it's what's the name? Mia and Riley, who are like the two which the most bad stuff happens to throughout the film. You see them more happy at the start, and it makes it very tragic.
And they bond
when it goes all tits up. But Talk to Me.
Oh.
Rewatched it. What did you think of it? Let's get you to talk.
You want to talk to me?
I want to talk to you. I let you in.
Thank you very much. Hello, it's me.
I let you into my segment where I talk about films I've watched.
The first half is great. It's some of the best horror I've seen in a long time. But when it gets to the point where the story actually needs to happen, the plot needs to occur, it becomes significantly less scary and becomes more almost action-centric, more like they fall back into what they're known for. It's a lot more high energy and less scary. That's when you get like the fight with the dad towards the end, that bit, which isn't at all kind of what I enjoyed about the first half. But it's still very good, and I'm very excited for the next one.
I completely agree with you that it does definitely have a shift halfway through. And I the first time I watched it, and I still agree with the second, I think the first half is stronger. But I actually find the second half scarier. I think the second half is like really horrible. And in fact, it's almost like hard for me to watch. It's not really the sort of horror films I generally like to watch. Like Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
You like to watch baby children ones, don't you?
Right. So I don't like seeing people just getting tortured and like having no hope of getting out, and like I like to see the protagonist be like as strong as the antagonist, as it were. Like I like the final girl really fighting back, and I that's what I like about them. Or if it's going to be a slasher where everyone dies, I like to be silly. Whereas this is like the stakes are being tortured in hell for all eternity, and you know that they'll follow through with it. But it's really well made. It is. I love the like Danny Michael Filippo's voice. I think just the concept of it's brilliant. Like and from like a horror film from our generation, even down to like I heard like boomers and that complaining about it. Even when Riley's like falling asleep and he's watching a Cybermen video, and he's like, yeah, I know obviously the Cybermen are like Raka are friends with the Cybermen and that, but like that just felt realistic to me, and the way the characters were talking and the way they were treating the hand as you know they're at a sleepover it's like doing drugs. I don't know. I thought it was very well done. Felt really fresh. I like it a lot. I liked it more the second time, and I can't wait for the second
Interesting. I might have to rewatch it. The first time I was very scared, and so didn't overly enjoy it. So maybe if I rewatch it, I will enjoy it a lot more.
I still find, when like Riley's like hurting himself, that's very hard to watch.
What, when he's trying to pull his eye out?
Yeah, I looked away both times I saw that. It's the sound effects too. It's so loud. Ugh. Yeah, but it's a great film.
It went pop, and it came out.
I will say, God, I've been watching loads of videos of like Danny and Michael Filippo talking about it because they're really interesting to like hear talk about how they make the films. And I've never seen like a press junket for a film be less similar to the film itself. It's like the funniest like high energy like press junket. I'm gonna fly through the rest. So I rewatched *Malignant*. I really like it. I think it's really fun. What do you think of *Malignant*?
Still haven't seen it. It's something I'm going to watch when the job's finished.
It makes no sense, but I think it's just an absolute blast. I rewatched *The Menu*, which I really like.
Ooh, yeah, I remember enjoying that.
I watched a horror film called *No Exit*, which is one of the girls from Bottoms trapped in like a snowy cabin with some child abductors, and it's not very good.
No.
And then I watched *Lord of Misrule*.
Oh boy, here we go.
Which I watched because you worked on it. To what extent did you work on it?
So this was potentially my first job as an AD. So this was my first foray into ADing. Isn't really anything to do with film. It's more admin, but it's more to do with film than like my first job, which was locations, or my first job, which was COVID. So this was very exciting for me, and it was around the corner from where we shot Hijack, and I did maybe like a week, maybe less than that.
Was it the big crowd stuff at the start?
It was the big crowd stuff.
Was it just that?
Yes, it was that, and then it was stuff at night, other big crowd stuff at night, where like you've got a big man on stilts in like a big monster costume.
Yeah. That's all the start.
So that's all I did. So I learned loads. It was a great experience. I'm quite sad to have heard that my favourite SA, who we had dubbed Cocknose. Keep an eye out for him. He's just a man wearing a wicker basket on his head, and his nose is like a cock. That's it.
I didn't spot him, but I wasn't looking out for him, to be fair.
The crowd third I was with was doing everything in his power to try and feature him as much as he could. But that's the extent that I know about it. I still haven't seen it, and I was looking forward to watching it until I heard your review, your thoughts.
Well, I don't want to slag off too much since you did work on it, and
I did a week. I have no personal investment.
Yeah,
in
I
this
know,
film
but
at all.
I don't want to insult films where it's like, if it's a local thing, or I might want to get work from them. But the plot is: have you seen a folk horror film? Have you seen maybe The Wicker Man? Have you seen maybe
The Wicker Man?
maybe
The
Midsummer? Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Well, it's
The Witch. That's quite close, isn't it?
It's
Similar.
somewhat similar. It's not like pagan stuff, but it's just you've seen this before. Then it's not particularly original. It just even like Hereditary. There's like bits of whatever that demon's called. It didn't feel fresh to me at all. Even though the director has done some big films, he did like Orphan First. What's it called? First Blood.
First Kill. The Boy 2.
The Boy and Brahms 2. The Boy. Brahms the Boy 2.
The Boy and Brahms the Boy 2.
I hope he does Brahms 2, The Boy 3. But yeah, it looks so amateur. Like the cinematography is disgusting, and the main character is like Tuppence Middleton plays like a vicar, but she like F's and Jeffs the whole time. She never once seems like a Christian.
She's cool.
No,
she's a cool vicar.
It doesn't make sense. Whereas in The Wicker Man, like Howie, the main character, is a Christian, which obviously like contracts with the pagan village, which works really well. But he seems like a Christian. He acts like a Christian in the whole movie, and she doesn't at all. And her husband has no personality traits whatsoever. And it's not scary, which is the bare minimum of a horror film, really.
Yeah.
Right, I've got 3 more. I'll just blitz through them. Whiplash, we all know is incredible. It's perfect in every way.
Have you seen the short film?
Oh,
Also
I
very
have.
good.
Yeah, it's really good. I watched it about a month ago. Soul I didn't like it as much as I did the first time. I think there's sort of nothing that adds on rewatch, to be honest.
The cat looked good.
Yeah, but that bullshit's a waste of time. That whole middle where they just swap bodies and all that, I'm not interested.
That's just
that's
just funny shenanigans.
Well, I like the philosophical Pixar stuff, but the shenanigans just to make kids want to watch it is just bullshit.
I thought it was a shame that he lived at the end.
Yeah, that kind of...
He should have died. That goes against what he learnt completely.
Yeah, I know. I thought he'd like come to terms with it.
Yeah,
which is kind of not a good message, saying like, oh no, it's all right because if your mum's dead, but if she goes on an adventure in afterlife, she can come
if
back
she loves you enough, she could come back.
Yeah, if she loves jazz enough, then she can come back. It's so mad how the film is like about a guy who loves jazz, literally just so they can have a pun as a title, like soul and soul music.
Yeah,
that's the only reason. But fair play,
love
Pixar.
that.
Then I also watched Day After Tomorrow, which I haven't seen since school, where we used to watch it occasionally. It's okay.
I was traumatised by that film.
Oh, well, you need to grow up then, don't you?
Well, I have since then. I was a child.
Well, I suppose. I don't find it very scary. It's just things get a bit wet and then it get a bit frozen.
Is that the one with Ashton Kutcher?
Nope. That's 2012, I think.
Okay, all right.
It's
all
the
right,
one...
Thank you, I'm going home.
It's the one with Jake Gyllenhaal and Dennis Quaid.
Oh, so Roland Emmerich film.
Yeah, he does all of them. He does every disaster film.
Like Moonfall.
Yep. But also Independence Day, which I really like. Right, well, I'm done with my weekly roundup Yee Haw. If you want to get on to the main event. Have you watched anything at all?
I've seen 2 episodes of The Curse. I now understand why you kept sending me pictures of your Willy after watching The Curse. I've seen the first episode.
I was the double in that.
Were you? I didn't know that.
It's quite a good gig. It was quite featured.
Yeah, no, I saw. Caitlin, did you know Matt was the penis double in The Curse? Yeah, you can see it now.
Yeah, I can.
Because obviously we've all seen it before, but now you've said that, we can put 2 and 2 together. Oh, good for you, Matt. Good for you.
Shall we talk about these films that I watched like 3 weeks ago and I can barely remember?
If you're looking for a teen drama that ain't your mum's teen drama, because it's rude, it's crude, and it will, I don't know, be mean, then this is one for you. Mean Girls 2004. Matt, please give us your introduction to Mean Girls, please.
So, Katie comes from Africa, doesn't matter where, Africa, to the United States to go to a high school for the first time. And she meets Regina George and the Plastics, who are like the cool girls, but they're also mean girls. And she, just sort of joins their group and shenanigans occur.
That's it. That's pretty good.
That's all. Yeah.
What more can you say?
I mean, lots of stuff happens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What did you think of Mean Girls 2004?
Mean Girls 2004. So, I don't know if I'm in the minority here, that Mean Girls is just a worse Heathers.
I mean, that's just like your opinion, man. I haven't seen Heathers. I feel like Mean Girls is a perfect movie and it's impossible. I mean, Heathers got to do a lot of work to be better than that.
So, I watched Heathers at university, and I saw Mean Girls this year for the first time. I think I had seen it at school, but I don't remember it. And I get that it is almost exactly the same film, right? So you've got outsider going into school, understanding this clique system. You've got like your jocks and your nerds and your drama kids, and then you've got the top of the food chain. You've got 3 conventionally attractive girls who are mean and spiteful and rule like the social hierarchy, and that is exactly the same film, except Heather's is like they looked at John Hughes films of the era and went, but wait a second, all of these films are saying that you go through high school and you learn to break out of these cliques, and you learn that you're not defined by being like a criminal, by being a brain box, by being an athlete. You're more than that. You don't have to be defined by this clique. And Heathers have gone, it's all nonsense. You're a stupid idiot. High school doesn't mean anything. And so it's like a spin on that John Hughes era, and it just leads into great edgy murder that's still edgy today and still has a lot to say today. And Mean Girls has gone, how about if we take Heathers but then make it infinitely less interesting but still be good? Like, Mean Girls is still very good, it's really but it's not as good as Heathers.
I think it's really good. See, I watched it for the first time like 2 weeks ago, and I thought it was absolutely hilarious. I was absolutely splitting my sides at every line, and it's weird because I'd never seen it before, but there was every shot is a GIF pretty much. And I've heard like so many lines quoted. In fact, a lot of the lines I didn't know, but I knew like all of it except for like one word, because I've seen like memes of it. So I've not seen the original template. Okay. So like I knew like the line where the actual line in the movie is like, if you're from Africa, how come you're white? And then then the reply is like, oh my God, Karen, you can't just ask people why they're white. So I knew like, why are you blank? You can't just ask people why they're blank, but I never knew what it actually was. So there's loads of stuff like that, and like trying to make something happen, but I didn't know like fetch.
No, it was Fletch. We said this last week. It's Fletch.
Oh no!
But don't get me wrong. It's like really funny. It's very endearing. I think it's cast very well, which I want to talk about with the new one.
I think they're perfect.
They're great.
I think every person in the original is perfect. I actually don't think I've ever seen Lindsay Lohan before.
At all? You were surprised? You're like, oh, I've never seen this person before in my life.
Well, she's always a name I've heard. It's like she was a massive star and then she like went off the deep end.
Yeah, she did like, weird, like Freaky Friday, The Parent Trap.
Yeah, Parent Trap. Yeah,
Machete.
I haven't watched those movies. I haven't seen Machete. I would quite like to, but at the same time, can it be good? I've seen most Robert Rodriguez films. Which for me is quite fun.
Herbie Fully Loaded. That's one I got from Blockbusters.
No, she does play Katie perfectly. That sort of, she does both sides, like the sort of outsider, uncool version and the plastic version, very very well. I think for me, the standout performance is Rachel McAdams.
Yeah,
who I've seen in other stuff. I think the first thing I saw her in, actually like acknowledging her, was Eurovision Song Contest: The Story of Fire Saga.
Are you sure you don't mean Doctor Strange's girlfriend? That's
true. I did see that first, but come on, I don't remember. Because she's in the second one too, just getting married, just to be like, yeah. So it turns out Doctor Strange doesn't need a love interest. We could just write her out.
Yeah, she's in those.
She was not memorable at all.
She's very good in it.
She was phenomenal in Mean Girls. Like, she was just perfect casting. She was so funny, and it's weird because now I do think Mean Girls is a bit like, I don't know, like American Psycho or Joker, how it is to...
Oh, because you live in a society.
Certain type of men. Yeah, certain type of men who will take these... I guess it's like films where the antagonist is like a main character. And it's meant to be like, yeah, relatable, these people exist. But you're supposed to be like, yes, but they're awful. Please don't be anything like them. Yeah. Whereas a lot of men... And also Peaky Blinders, that's a big one.
Peaky
like
Blinders,
Tommy Shelby.
Rorschach from Watchmen.
A lot of men really take them as like, oh, this is the coolest person ever. This is who I should live my life by. What a badass.
Yeah.
And a lot of girls have taken Regina George and tried to be there. I mean, the sort of cool girls at my school, when I watched Mean Girls, I was like, oh, God, I bet that they watched this movie over and over again. Because they like called themselves the clique.
Oh, that's cringe.
Yeah, but they thought they were really cool, but I didn't care for them personally.
I mean, well, you and your friends at school called yourself the Wolf Pack, didn't you?
Yeah, we did, yeah. Yeah. Did you watch Star Wars: The Clone Wars? Because there was one of the battalions called the Wolf Pack, Captain Wolf, and that is the coolest name, and they're the coolest badasses ever. And we just wore clone outfits to school every day. And they're like, no, this isn't uniform policy. And we're like, shut up, bitch. I'm Commander Wolf.
If you were to ask me what's the millennial film, this is it. This is the film that the generation before us hold on to with like such tight grip. Yeah.
See, the thing is, because I hadn't seen it before, but it's sort of like, it's a bit like when I first watched 28 Days Later, and it's like, I've never seen this film, but I've been like in the like atmosphere of this film. Yeah. So the people at school, like the kids above me, like in like a few years above, would love this film, and they'd sort of reference it, and it would be in their like, even like, you know, I was watching Ed's World growing up, like they'd reference that, and it's like that. So I know the references through people a few years older than me referencing it, or like, so Mean Girls is it's sort of, it was a part of my growing up even though I never watched it. And I love that. I love films from this era because they do give me a big nostalgia.
Maybe we're kind of getting round to that now ever so slowly. 2004, like all of the 2000s just feel so dated, and it's not like I could watch Heathers, for example, go back to Heathers again, and I'd be like, this is like really charming. But I can't think of any noughties films I watch and think that's really charming.
So I think this is charming. I think aesthetically it's dated, but that's the same with any era. Like, look at the 80s, and it's like, some stuff is like come back. Some of it might look cool. Most like of the style, the hairstyles, the kind of like look shit. And so even when you see like 80s things set in like Stranger Things stuff now, like they only pick the best of the 80s because the majority of it was crap. And I think with the 2000s, it was, for like fashion and hair and makeup and stuff, I think it's the worst era.
It's so bad that they're coming back in now. Oh, I mean, God.
Awful.
It's so bad.
They're meant to be like wearing the coolest clothes, whatever. They look terrible.
They're rank.
But the new one also, I think their outfits are god awful.
Oh yeah, we'll get into it. We will get into it.
But they're certainly more iconic in the original because they're very simple. They're sort of wear a pink cardigan and it's like you're a plastic sort of thing. The new one came out on a Wednesday, and I wanted to wear pink, but I just don't know anything, and I didn't go to the shops.
You didn't want to get beaten up on the way to the cinema in Birmingham.
Yeah, I know. I didn't.
It was like you know, when they go into the pub in with Noel and I, and he walks past the guy going to the toilet.
Oh yeah.
I haven't done anything to offend this man, but I think he's coming to fuck my ass.
I literally couldn't stop thinking about it for days and days. I rewatched loads of scenes. I basically seen the whole film again. I don't know. It's very rare you watch a film and you're basically immediately like, yeah, that was brilliant. I love that. And yeah, it's one I'll be rewatching definitely. I think we talked about how great Rachel McAdams is and Lindsay Lohan. I think the whole cast is brilliant. I mean, I think
100%.
My favourite character was Karen, played by Amanda Seyfried. I thought like I really like how the other plastics were like, it showed them as kids, like they're not bad kids, they're just sort of swayed the wrong way.
Yes.
Like, Karen and Gretchen are sort of nice people, but they're sort of made to be mean because Regina is such a bitch. But even Regina at the end, like, it's not that they get like revenge on her and then they ruin her life. Like, I guess Regina sort of, she gets embarrassed, she gets a sense of what it's like to be bullied, and then she sort of, I thought it was a perfect ending, how like they have respect for each other, but they've sort of gone their separate ways, and
and that
was really nice.
Ending with the mathlete thing, and then the ball or whatever it is, the dance, and the decision to break up the tiara and give it to everyone. Yeah, that's quite nice. That's a nice message.
Even in the new one, it's kind of a shame how they got rid of the epilogue scene, because that it does lead people to interpret it wrong and sort of be like, oh, well, they just went back to being plastics at the end, and Katie rejoined the group, and in fact we'll get onto it, but I mean, I think that's the problem with the ending of the new one, is Regina only really has a redemption because she's on like drugs, like pain medication, and so it's not sincere.
No,
or we don't know if it's sincere.
I did love her getting hit by a bus though. That's pretty good.
That was
you don't really get enough bus representation in film.
That made me like Even though I've seen the photo of her before, her and her mum, like when she's in the brace, I'd completely forgotten about it. So when I didn't know that was coming, and then when she got hit by the bus, and then the voiceover went like, "And that's how Regina George died," I just burst out laughing. That's so funny. Just the film in general, I find it is a really funny, really great film for people to watch. Just please don't misinterpret it.
One thing I can say about this that I can't say about the next one is that they are actually quite mean in it, the Mean Girls.
They are
quite mean.
I just love, like, is a Grotsky little biatch. And, like, Regina George is a fugly slut and stuff. Like, I love all that. Like, it says slut so many times. And even, like, I love that, how they just have little moments. Like, there's a bit in they're just in the school corridor, and Regina and Katie are talking. And Regina's just turns this random girl and is like, "Oh my god, that skirt is so cute," and it's like, "Oh my god, oh thank you. This is like, it was my family members, whatever." Or this, yeah. And then the girl walks off and she goes, "That is the ugliest effing skirt I've ever seen in my life." I love little moments like that. Like in the new one, yeah, obviously at the start we have a few lines to show like Regina's a mean girl, but then it doesn't really carry on throughout. Whereas. and the bit in the mall where like she calls up the mum saying like, "Hi, it's Planned Parenthood," like it was so funny. And yeah, they are some mean girls.
They are mean, and you really get the sense that like they are the top of the social food chain at school. Even you go into the hall and it's such a sprawling landscape, and everyone kind of stops when they come in and are genuinely frightened by these girls because they could just tear them to shreds socially.
And I do feel like when I look at them, I'm like, okay, I can see why these would be the most popular girls in school, which I don't get as much in the other one.
No, not at all.
Well, you know, they have that sort of montage where it sort of, it's like a piece to camera from different students saying like, "Regina George punched me in the face once. It was awesome." But there's loads of them, and every student is like enamored by the plastics and they bow down to them. In the new one, I don't think they even do that, but they do that in the musical, which I like, the stage musical, which I watched on YouTube. And like half of them are like people slagging off Regina George. And it's like, well, hang on a minute, because
why would they be scared of her?
If the school doesn't respect, if half the students don't have any respect for the plastics, then that undoes the whole point.
Yeah, there's no power there at all. Yeah,
no, it doesn't make sense. It's just the plastics aren't the cool girls. They aren't the top of the food chain. They aren't the apex predator.
Oh.
They're just like. Yeah, they're just other students in a different group, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah, then who gives a shit?
Yeah, and I think the fact that partly because we grew up, you know, after this, with girls who grew up in it, and so maybe we're influenced by it. But I do feel like the plastics were very. I've seen these people. They were very realistic to me.
Yeah,
and I mean, Mean Girls 2024. That is obviously we'd left school a few years before then. Although we are closer to it, it should be more relatable.
Something that Caitlin brought up, which was a great point, was the use of point of view throughout the film.
Yeah.
That a lot of what you see at the start of the film is Katie's point of view to really get her in and feel that isolation, especially when she walks into the hall for the first time, and you do get that kind of leading camera, really taking it all in, feeling overwhelmed. But as she starts to take more control over her story, that point of view shot starts to fade away into more of her in the frame rather than her perspective of the world around her.
You're absolutely right. Well, Caitlin's absolutely right, and I never thought of that. But yeah, that is true.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of true in the new one too. I think they repeat that technique. Definitely when she goes into the cafeteria and stuff. Not to the same extent.
Yeah.
At least one more thing to talk about.
Yes,
the only running joke that doesn't work for me is Katie, like, constantly being called Caddy. Her name is spelt phonetically. It's clearly Cady. Why would anyone call her Caddy? That's really stupid. It's Cady. Obviously, it's Katie.
Where's the double D?
Yeah, you're just ridiculous. What a stupid joke.
Let's talk about all the iconic scenes in this. All the iconic moments, like the Halloween, for example. Very iconic.
That was iconic, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'd seen that before. And that's probably the only bit I hadn't seen.
And you're completely right that it's parts like that which draw attention to something that generationally, like millennial culture was doing for years, especially dressing up as slutty as you can for Halloween and pointing it out.
I think that is still the case.
It's still the case now. I feel like it wasn't before the noughties. I feel like the noughties was when everyone really took it in their stride.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think that's the reason why that in particular is so iconic. Seeing her show like in her actual scary Halloween bride costume.
And everyone else is just like, I'm a sexy mouse. What is it? A mouse. Duh. Like, that was good. Because she's just got the ears. I thought in that scene's the sort of, I guess that when Regina kisses, I can't remember the love interest name because he's so irrelevant to the plot.
Is that Aaron?
Yeah. It is Aaron because it rhymes with Karen, and I think that in the stage musical they do like a joke about that.
That's a good joke.
Yeah,
that's a good joke.
I can't remember what the joke is, but it made me laugh.
It's like Amanda rhymes with Panda.
But when she sees like Regina kissing him, and you sort of hear the voiceover of Katie, and it's like, oh my gosh, she sounds exactly like Regina. She's like, oh my god, Regina, that slut, or whatever she's saying. Like it's. I don't know. I thought it was a really good way of showing, like, oh, okay, now she has just become a plastic herself. She's become, when Aaron isn't interested in her later on because she's like, oh my god, you're a clone of Regina. Like, this is, I think that it very organically happens.
Very
that
organic.
arc, I think. Well, shall we talk about Aaron? Because I'd completely forgotten about him because he's so irrelevant.
But he's not important, is he? He's just a vessel.
That's what I like. That's what I really like. Is that every other like high school movie, it's the love interest is such an important character. Whereas I really like here how it's about the friendships and how, there is like a love interest, but he's so irrelevant to it. And Tina Fey's said since that they don't end up together, obviously. They might stay together for a little bit, but it's just a high school romance. Yeah. And so I like him as like a plot point to show her being cool or her being... I guess it's more... You think it's to be cool getting a boyfriend, but it's actually being popular and being likeable to get a boyfriend. So I think it's good for her character, and I'm happy they didn't expand any further with him.
And I often think boys are just a bit stinky as well.
And they're smelly.
Yeah,
they've got the cooties.
I wouldn't have any in any of my films. What did you rate Mean Girls?
I gave it 5 stars.
5 smackaroos.
I gave it 4.5 when I first watched it, and then I was like, I can't think of a single thing I've got wrong with it. Really, I think it would just be. It was the same when I watched Whiplash the other day. Like I gave it 4.5 because I was like, well, I like other films more, and I was like, yeah, but I can't pinpoint a single negative. So it's unfair for me not to give 5 stars. I think fair. Tina Fey, when she reads my Letterboxd review, I think she'd be like, but why didn't you give it 5 stars? You haven't said anything bad about it. So I thought, you know what, Tina? I'll be nice and I'll give you 5.
Wow, you've given Tina a pick-me-up there.
I think she deserves it.
I think she deserves it. Okay, well, I gave it 4 stars.
Well, that's still good.
Yeah, it's very good. It's a great film. And I'm not trying to say otherwise. I think it's very funny. I think it's very of its time. But still relevant today. The jokes still work. Yeah. The culture of it still works, and it's still very iconic in the zeitgeist. But I'm a Heathers man, if I'm being honest. I just think Heathers is better.
Heathers, if you say it's the same but better, then I'll give it a watch.
And Heathers has sexy Christian Slater in, which Mean Girls does not have.
Oh no, it doesn't.
You know me. I was going to say I'm a hater for the Slater, but that's wrong. I don't know.
It's got Winona Ryder in as well, doesn't it?
It does.
Because I don't know if I've really seen her in stuff young, but she's a bit of a MILF in Stranger Things, let's be honest.
Beetlejuice?
And so, I haven't seen Beetlejuice, but Beetlejuice 2 is out this year, so I'll watch it before then.
Yeah. What else? Edward Scissorhands?
No, I haven't seen that.
Bram Stoker's Dracula?
I've seen almost every Tim Burton, not that. Nope.
Oh.
No, so I will watch Heathers, and I'm sure I'll love it.
Yes,
right.
I would love to hear what you think about it.
Let's move on. Once I've had a piss.
Let's move on to the next one.
Right. So we both enjoyed that the original Mean Girls.
Mean Girls 04.
We have another Mean Girls movie to talk about. Well, not Mean Girls 2, because neither of us have watched that, and I heard it's shit, and what's the point? But we do have a new Mean Girls out this year. Do you want to tell the audience about it?
20 years after the original Mean Girls
comes
Mean Girls 2024, following Katie Heron, who moves from Africa. Doesn't matter where in Africa.
No, it does. It's Kenya
From
in this
Africa.
one. No, it's Kenya in this one.
Oh, I'm
fixed that.
already falling apart. She moves from Kenya to America to go to high school for the first time. And in high school, she meets a group of plastics led by Regina George, and shenanigans occur.
They sure do. What did you think of this movie? Although, because I've seen your Letterboxd review, I think I might know.
This was, right, almost immediately, I looked to my partner, and she looked at me, and we both just cringed, and we spent the whole film laughing at the film, because I hated it with such deep pain. It was so bad.
I saw you gave it half a star.
Half a star. And that's generous.
Me and Ali Keeling went to see it, and we both thought it was fine. I think we were both sort of between 3 and 3.5. We were both like, yeah, that was entertaining. There was a bunch of laughs.
Way too high.
I don't think it is.
Way too high.
I think there's some funny laughs. There's some good jokes.
Oh, God. Right, let's go through this, shall we?
Let's go through it.
Let's start with the big issue, right?
Yeah.
This does not do anything to justify its existence.
Well, it's a musical, which is different.
But the music is bad.
The music is not memorable.
It is atrocious.
I've listened to one song since a few times, which is by far the most entertaining. What do you think that might be?
The only one that has come back to me is that my name is Regina George.
Oh, that one was shit.
Because that's the only line I remember, and I think it was like maybe the second song.
I am a massive deal. And then I have
because it's
no
so bad.
idea what she's singing after that. She mumbles so much. I have no idea what a single line is she says after that point.
Yeah, what was yours?
I loved "Sexy," the like Karen song. I thought it was so funny, like the Halloween one. And
all right, so
but
God.
I've seen after I watched that, I was like, right, that clearly wasn't adapted well for film from the musical. So I looked up to see if there was a slime tutorial, and there was. So I watched on YouTube the like bootleg of the musical, and it also starring Renault Rapp. And it's so considerably better than the film. Like it's the same sort of screenplay. There's still like the same new jokes, and way more. And it's so much funnier. And yeah, that song. There's one line which is it goes like "Sexy Eleanor Roosevelt" or "Sexy Rosa Parks," and then they changed that to Joan of Arc in the film, and that's not as funny. Like every single, which will draw into what we're going to talk about, I'm sure. Whereas like they just water it down, everything that could possibly be controversial or could possibly be like mean in any way. Like the whole joke is that it's so inappropriate that there being a sexy Rosa Parks, which made me laugh. But
okay, so I know it's going to be hard. I have not seen Mean Girls, the musical, the actual musical.
Yeah.
So I think if we can, I'd like to try and just do the film, because I know we've briefly spoken about it, and you've said that they dropped like 8 songs from the musical.
The musical is like almost sung through. I mean, like even like they'll sing so much, and it works. It works so much because I think it's basically, whereas I think the new one was trying so hard just to be a remake of the original, because that's what will get bums on seats. I think the musical is almost like its own music in its own right. It's so many original jokes, but it's like the plot is the plot of Mean Girls, which we all know, and it expects you to have seen it. And I think that worked so well. Like, so yeah, all the songs are kind of, there's loads of songs, there's loads of new stuff, and it felt fresh. It felt like it had a reason to exist. And yeah, they use, there's a lot of stuff from the musical in the film, but there's also so much repeated stuff from the original, but obviously not as good. So it's just, what's the point?
So before we get into the real deep dive of this, second sub point, I would like to make the point that the Mean Girls musical is just a worse version of the Heathers musical. I
haven't seen the Heathers musical.
Because the Heathers musical makes sense, because you're juxtaposing an edgy film about murdering children and adding songs to it and making it more funny. That is a funny juxtaposition. But Mean Girls is, what if we take an edgy film, make it edgy but for a modern audience, That's it.
Yeah, I mean,
That's it.
the musical, even though it's slightly edgier than the film adaptation of the musical, it's still like much watered down. Like it doesn't say slut all the time and stuff, which I kind of get. But I do get how they've updated it for modern audiences. So now, like, I guess they have the one line where it says slut is like, oh, you have to dress slutty because if not, you're slut shaming us, which is kind of, it works for like our generation where it's like. It's almost uncool to not be progressive, and even if it's like artificial.
Yeah.
That's kind of like what The Curse is about. Like Emma Stone's character is like quote unquote progressive and liberal, but she is so. It's just because she wants to. I guess virtue signaling is the term to use, although that's often really overused and like not used in the right way. But yeah, that's kind of what this Mean Girls is too. Like they have to be seen to be a certain way. They don't want to be saying words that. They won't be cool if they say certain... But I don't know. It's not as much fun. It's not as much fun if they're not mean.
No, not
and
at
they're
all.
not mean at all in this.
They're not mean. So yeah, let's talk about the characters. Let's say as a blanket thing, I would recommend not watching this film. Go and watch the first one because it is beat for beat exactly the same, but less funny or not funny, watered down and not edgy, and just worse in every single way. Like character... It's so bad.
I do agree that it's worse in every way, but I think there's certain bits where it's less worse than other bits. But yeah, I mean, like I said, like, it works on stage because even like in this film, there's like whole dialogue scenes where they just recreate it. If you're gonna remake it as a song, so it's significantly different and worth existing.
Add value to what you're doing.
Like, I remember the scene where Katie and Aaron, where he says like you're a clone of Regina. I don't think that was in the musical, in the stage one. I'm pretty sure, like, that scene was basically just all dialogue, exactly the same as the, except I think it was in a kitchen in the original film. That was a song in the stage one. So why would you do that? Why would you take a scene that was, like, different and the song wasn't memorable at all, don't remember a single line of it, but it was still different, and so that justifies its existence. Why would you take that and then do the same thing exactly again, apart from marketing? Which is what it is. And
I think that kind of gets into the root of the issue here, that this film is the most or the biggest lowest common denominator film I've seen in a while. That it does its best not to offend anyone. So it takes away the parts of the original film that people liked anyway. It doesn't want to advertise itself as a musical because
it's ashamed
that's embarrassing.
Of being a musical,
ashamed of being a musical.
A film should never be ashamed of being what it is, and that is just a terrible sign.
And it rides the fence on every way. So it just feels like a cup of milk the entire way through. It's shot flat, it's lit flat.
The only one who I thought was really good was, again, my favourite character in the original. Favourite character in this, I thought Karen was very good.
I hated Karen in this.
Really?
I thought, who's it? Amanda Seyfried?
Yeah,
is that her name?
Yeah.
In the original, she is overly stupid. Like, she is not like English stupid, like Neil from The Inbetweeners, who is a stupid man that you may know.
How much Lego can you
She is American stupid. Yeah, she's American stupid, which is you'll never ever meet anyone that's stupid.
Yeah.
But it's like a representation of. And the Karen in this is like the next step up.
I don't know.
Nothing out of her mouth made any sense. It wasn't funny.
I don't think she was any more stupid or less. I thought they were about the same. She still had like redeeming qualities. She was still like nice and meant well. But yeah, she was dumb. I don't think she was dumb. I don't think she was less dumb than Amanda Seyfried.
I think she was more dumb.
Avantika is the actress, and I thought she was good.
I didn't like her.
I thought Gretchen was. She didn't seem like cool, like even down to her costume, like she was wearing like maybe the kids these days would think. I thought she was wearing like sweaters and that just I don't think she looked like a nerd the way she was like costumed, and and her performance, like she wasn't mean in any way whatsoever. She was just like
none of them were mean.
I mean, but Regina was occasionally mean. Karen and Gretchen, not an ounce of meanness in their body.
They were just unkind. They were just rude. Regina was slightly rude to people.
Yeah, Regina was rude. She had an attitude. But yeah, she didn't ruin people's lives. There was just one scene, like, when you first introduced in the cafeteria, she says that, like, someone should use his real voice, and then he goes, bitch! And that's almost it. And she released the burn book, which she had written anyway, but...
Yeah, no one. We said about it earlier. No one is scared of the mean girls.
No.
They do not want to be them. They don't want to talk to them. It's not like you don't get a feeling that people want to be them.
Something I've kind of thought with the original and with this: if they're so cool, if they're so like popular, why do they only have 2 friends each, or like 3 friends? Like,
yeah.
Surely the most popular group should have like a big group. It's the same in every
group around them.
It's kind of the same in most things, but I guess that's because they want to have just characters rather than having like essays with them or like smaller roles. But surely. I mean, from my experience from school, like the cool people have lots of friends and are always talking to lots of people because that's why they're popular.
Let's talk about the lead, Spider-Man girl.
Yeah, and Gary Rice.
Not good.
It's weird because I've seen her in a few things and I've always thought she's really good. Like in, have you seen Senior Year, which is a terrible, like high school. It's about Rebel Wilson is a cool girl in school, but she's played by Gary Rice, like Australian in an American school, and then she is in a cheerleading accident and she goes into a coma for like 20, 30 years, however much it is, and then adult Rebel Wilson goes back to high school to finish off, and it's like, because she's old. But yeah, when she's like young, for the first 10 minutes of the film, she's played by Gary Rice, and the character's like really rude and does like... She's basically how a mean girl should be. And she's brilliant. I thought she was so funny. She's like the funniest part of the movie, and she's only in the first few minutes. And so I kind of thought, like, okay, so she's definitely got the chops to play a mean girl, definitely. And she's, just nothing to me. Yeah,
what a wet blanket she was in this.
Yeah, she's a good singer, but it's not. To be fair, I've heard people slagging off her singing. I don't think she had anything to work with, really. None of the songs were like like they didn't have any sort of musical chops to them.
So that's exactly what I thought. That the songs in this, it must be completely different for the stage show. But in the film, the songs in this were
her first song.
Mixed and presented.
Say is different. She has a different first song in the film to in the stage.
Okay.
Neither were memorable, but at least I can remember the one on the stage one was called "It Roars," and I can't remember. I have no idea what the name of this original one, the one in the film is.
Yeah, it must be different in the stage show. But the songs in this were mixed and presented more like pop songs than theatre songs.
But I actually think that could have been a good thing. So when I watched the trailer, I obviously don't know who Olivia Rodrigo is. So I heard that song, like, I want to get him back, I want to make him feel... like that bit. And I thought, this low-key kind of slaps, you know? Because this is, like, kind of sounds sort of like noughties in a way, but it's also modern, and I can see this being in the charts. I was like, okay, if this is the sort of songs they're doing, then if they're trying to do, like they clearly want to make the girls look popular, look cool. Like, okay, this actually works well. And then... turns out that's not a song from the musical because all the songs from the musical would never get anyone to watch the musical. It's just a pop song.
Up until recently, I've been I was always very anti-musical.
Okay.
I always thought, like, if you asked me about musicals, I would have said they're lazy. Songs are just another form of exposition. I would much rather sit down and watch something. Yeah, and I think since I've watched a lot more and I've kind of thought about it a lot more, and they're just very different to film.
They're hard to translate into film.
Which is, I know, shock horror, they're different to film, but they are. And you look at something like one of the greatest musicals of all time, Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah.
Which is, like, great. One of the best films of all time, honestly.
It's really good.
And the songs have to not only convey information to an audience in an engaging way, but they are the majority of the film. It's not... here's a section, oh god, we need to put a song in here now.
And I think with what works a Little Shop of Horrors is the tone, even during the dialogue scenes, the tone, the acting, the sort of separation from reality is not really any different to when they're singing. Whereas Mean Girls is like, they have a serious talking... if you were to just watch like the scenes without the songs in, you'd never know it was a musical. Whereas the way they're like so heightened in Little Shop of Horrors, it's like, well, this is...
that's it. Even you think of Audrey's song. Yeah. So you've got like very big bombastic songs, and then you get to like Audrey's song like where she's singing about her future, and and even that it's very very true and very heartfelt, and kind of one of the few songs in the musical that's like that.
It's really funny. It's got really good lines.
But it's still a joke because it's a comedy.
Yeah.
But in this, you've got Gretchen's song, which like comes out of nowhere, where she goes into a wardrobe and starts singing. Like, it wasn't funny, and and like didn't add anything at all. It was just so weird.
Well, that's why I liked the song Sexy the most, because I think it was the only song that added something. It had some good jokes, although not as good as in the musical, as in the stage one. And yeah, it added, it expanded, it took the scene from the original and expanded upon it. I don't think any other song did.
I disagree with that.
Okay.
I disagree. That, for me, that was one of the songs that I was like, I hate this.
Well,
completely.
I thought it was quite fun. But
I saw it and was like, okay, so they've gone, what is an iconic scene from the film?
I'm a sexy mouse.
And then, yes, and then have done a song around that. It's like, you know, when you go to a theatre and they put the big curtain down at the front because they need to change the scene in the back.
Yeah.
So they like send someone out to do something to waste time.
I know.
And then they change.
Yeah.
It's like that, but they didn't have a scene change because it's a film. So I was like, well, why am I sat here? I get the joke. I've seen the original. I know the joke.
Well,
why am I sitting here listening to 5 minutes of song telling me the joke over and over and over again?
Yeah, it's weird because it almost kind of expects you to know the original because it does sort of, it adds on jokes in the original. And it also kind of, if you have seen the original, then it's like we're just watching the clock to get past it, to get to the new. I do think it was at its strongest when it was doing new stuff, and its weakest when it was repeating. What I did like about some of the jokes, though, they did is, so when they did the fetch joke, let's talk about. So they had the bit in the cafeteria where she says fetch for the first time. Regina's like, what's that? And she says it's from an old movie, clearly referencing the first Mean Girls. And then,
but that doesn't make sense. That does not make sense, does it? In the logic of the film.
Yeah, well, whatever. But then, and then the second time, they don't have that scene in the mall, so she doesn't say it again. And then, so the second time we hear it, was like, in the original film, what was the payoff? Is like, stop trying to make fetch happen, it's not going to happen, at the like Christmas dance thing. And so I like the new one, how they then carried on and did new jokes with the fetch thing. So they did Kevin Napor trying to do a word, then his friend saying, stop trying to make this happen, it's not going to happen. And then they had a sort of Gretchen says it to Karen, and Karen at the end is like, oh, I like that word. And so it's sort of, you know what I mean? Like, I quite like how they treated some bits as like a sequel and expanded upon stuff. There was some other stuff, I can't remember any of the other examples, but they sort of took original stuff and ran with it rather than just doing the same exact shit again occasionally. And that was what I liked that.
My favourite part of the film was
the end credits.
I think it was, was when I considered leaving. I think it was that Halloween song where it starts as a TikTok dance.
Yeah, it did, yeah.
I almost cringed up into non-existent.
See, I heard people saying like they hated the social media aspect, but I thought like, first of all, I thought, well, that's realistic, really, for like, school these days. And also, I think that kind of works for a musical because it gives an excuse for characters to be talking to the audience, as it were. If everyone's making TikToks these days, which they are, it kind of I think it gives an in-universe reasoning for the characters to be acting the way they are, breaking the fourth wall.
But it only happens like twice.
I don't know. I feel like they have like montages quite often. Well, yeah, it may be in songs. Yeah.
I just almost died. I was like, where is Subway Surfers in the corner when I need it? Why can't I be watching someone play Subway Surfers while this film's on?
I didn't like... They had, like... Is it Megan Thee Stallion? I didn't know who she was when I was watching the film. I only heard, like, afterwards. But because there was just some random, like, adult woman who was occasionally on TikTok in the compilations of the students. And apparently that's...
Maybe.
I kind of gathered it was, like, a celebrity. Apparently it's Megan Thee Stallion. Why?
Oh, she looked like a woman to me, not a horse at all.
But have we covered the marketing? Yeah, the fact that they were ashamed to make it a musical,
briefly.
And so basically just hid the fact that it was a musical. Yeah, I think I understand the director has a job to... He has to find a balance. He has to make it the right amount like the original, that the fans of the original will be appeased, and he needs to make it a new thing that's like cool while also being a fucking Broadway musical, which is about the least cool thing possible. Like I love musicals. I know you said you didn't like them as much. Maybe you like them more now. You used to.
I like them more now. I'm older and more mature. I do like a musical more.
To me, musicals are the best art form. I would, instead of making like film, I would make musicals if I knew anything about music. I love them. I just think it's I think music is like the like purest art form, and so like the idea of telling a story like a film narrative, like a proper narrative, but then with music, I think is just the perfect way, and dance. I think it's the perfect way of telling a story. I love them. But yeah, certain things don't suit it. Mean Girls doesn't suit musical.
Mean Girls does not suit it.
it's too...
Well,
it is, like, silly, and yeah, it's like... The acting is a bit melodramatic in the original, but at the end of the day, it's a normal story about normal people in a normal, relatable school.
Normal place, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, talking about dancing, what did you think of the choreography for the songs?
Well, it wasn't particularly memorable. They only did it, like, from time to time is a weird thing. Like, I kind of feel like if they're going to do that, not only like we said with Little Shop, that it should have been sort of heightened throughout, but I think they should have done... So what songs were there? There was that, like, Revenge Party, and there was also Apex Predator, were the ones where it's all around the whole school, everyone dancing, choreography, and I thought it worked quite well. It should have been a bit more music video-y, I thought. Like, they can do...
You see, that's exactly the issue I had, is that I hated... Again, I'm sorry, can you... If we can get, like, any time I say I hated this film, take a shot, and you'll be smashed. I really disliked how they were just like music videos, and the dances were like TikTok dances. Well, so they were... I was like, as a cynic I am, okay, we need to do, like, a dance where they're stationary within the screen of a phone, and it's just like their arms doing something. Yeah. Because then kids are going to watch that and go, I'm going to copy that to this song. Yeah. That's not how a musical is done. Yeah. Because it should be huge and grand and involved and actually done by a choreographer and not a child on TikTok.
I mean, they had a bit of that in the Matilda musical recently. Like, there was a bit in Revolting Children where, like, a girl does dance down a hallway and it is like TikTok dance, but it's incredible choreography, and everyone around them is doing incredible stuff. Yeah, and it's so well done. Yeah, what I meant by, like, I wish it was more like a music video is I think if they're gonna do a Mean Girls musical, obviously all the songs have to be different. But I think if they're gonna make it, like, cool, if you're gonna have, like, Olivia Rodrigo type songs, which I think is the sort of thing might work for it. It should be like, there's no reason why younger people or, like, new generation should dislike musicals, because they watch music videos, and a music video is just like a musical. It's a character singing while dancing goes on around them and stuff, and they like that. But lots of them in a row is a musical. So if they did Mean Girls,
that's an album.
If they did Mean Girls like that, it could be cool. Like, if it was,
cool... I could see that. I could see it.
So that's kind of why I wish they did it more like that and had more artistic stuff. But it was always just they're going down the hallways of school, maybe in different costumes to how they were before, doing a TikTok dance. I thought Apex Predator was really bad. I thought it was really cringe. I think they kind of... Because in that Revenge Party one, like, they had there was, like, decorations all around at the set and everyone was wearing different costumes. I thought they should have been dressed a bit more, like, animalistically, but they're just dressed like students, but they're just acting like... Because I listened to... The only song I listened to beforehand, just because I heard it was good and I wanted to go into it knowing one of them, was Apex Predator. And I thought, listening to it, I was like, hang on a minute, this sounds wrong. Like... The music in the back is really, like, low and really... It's not bombastic at all. It's not drawing my attention. And I thought every song was like that. It was really... Just really poorly mixed.
100%. Yeah, I completely agree.
And that's kind of why it wasn't memorable, because they didn't have, like, a melody that caught your attention, that really grabbed you. It was just all in the background. And I don't like how, because they cut so many songs, every other song was bloody... who we haven't mentioned at all in either of you, because I don't know, they're not that interesting, is Damien and...
what's her
name? Janice.
Other one.
They're
Janice,
like the main characters of the new one.
Yeah.
And yet we haven't been talking about them.
They're like the narrators, aren't they?
Yeah. But because they cut every other song, but they need theirs for plot reasons, they're in it loads. And they were both good. I thought Damien they both made me cringe, probably more than any other character, which is saying something. But
I mean, I always think that a good song in a musical, you think of something like La La Land, for example, which is a very modern, successful musical, very different than this because it's great good. And this isn't. The way if I was ever given a musical to do, I would approach every song the same way James Cameron approaches an action scene, in that you need to be moving. Like, you start in one place and you need to be moving location. You need to be on the move the whole time.
I agree.
And you look at La La Land and that happens. Like, they're engaging, they're in different settings, locations, tones, themes. This is all just, it's in a room.
Yeah.
Okay,
which I think
we're done.
Works for...
Now we're in a hall again for the 5th time.
Yeah.
Okay.
It works for a slow song. Like, I mean, Karen's, what's her name? Gretchen's song was shit. But, like, the sort of song like that makes sense to be in one place. Same as, like, There's always like The Fools Who Dream. If we keep in La La Land, that makes sense to be just someone standing there. But yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And so I've been a fan of Hamilton since like 2016.
Of what? Sorry.
Of Alexander Hamilton.
Oh yes, yeah, I know that one.
Now obviously they've never done a film version. They did the filmed live stage one, but they never done a film adaptation. But
I saw that on Discussing Film on Twitter that you'd been attached to doing the film version.
That hasn't been announced yet, so cut that.
All right.
But,
sorry. Okay.
No, but I listened to the soundtrack before I ever saw any of the bootlegs. And so I pictured in my head how it would be, and still to this day it's the same, because the way I imagined it is so kinetic, like so many shots, like the camera's always sweeping around and they're doing insane choreography and like cuts and changing location anytime. Like that's how a musical should be shot, because on stage you can do such crazy like things, all these different processes that you can't normally do in a play. In a film musical, they should be using all these like film techniques that you wouldn't normally do in a normal film.
Yes.
I think and so that's, if they do a Hamilton film and I don't direct it, which they wouldn't get me because I'm a white British man and I'm not really the right person for telling that story. But the guy who directed In the Heights, the other like Lin-Manuel Miranda musical, I thought that was so well directed, because that's almost like, some of it's like montagey. They're always moving location. They're doing like really good dancing, loads of good camera work. I thought that's how you should direct a musical. And yeah, this wasn't that at all. This was very poor.
Do you know who would be great at doing a musical?
Who?
Edgar Wright.
I completely agree. Yeah, that's
his style would. Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly the style you need for a musical. It needs to be like a music video, but for well, sometimes it can be like a slower song. It depends on the scene, depends on the song. But like, yeah, the big numbers need to be like an Edgar Wright film. I think that's exactly it. Or Baz Luhrmann, but he's done like obviously he did like Moulin Rouge and stuff. But Moulin Rouge that's the perfect, like, I'm pretty sure that was a stage musical first, but that's perfectly done on in film. That's how it should be.
100%.
So you use all you can from the technique, from cinematography, and to I don't know. They just did a bad job. Who's the director? Samantha Jane and
two directors.
Arturo Perez Jr. They don't have Wikipedia pages.
One for music and one for
possibly
one for filming, one for musical.
I don't know. I don't know either of these people. They don't even have Wikipedia pages.
Yeah.
Let me see what they've done. Samantha Jane has done nothing.
Nothing.
And Arturo Perez Jr. has done
nothing. I'm not shocked by that at all.
Nothing. Yeah, I mean, these people have done not enough.
No.
Musicals
to be
are hard
given a
to
film
shoot.
this big,
and it's going to be a big hit.
So I have one last thing to talk about before we do scores. Mean Girls works because of the social hierarchy.
Yeah.
And because you have cliques of people all doing their own different things, and the Mean Girls clique is being shallow and being superficial and being mean.
Yeah.
Mean Girls in 2024, where in the film everyone has TikTok, and with that everyone is superficial and shallow.
I never thought about that. Yeah.
Everyone is a mean girl.
That's a really good point. Yeah. Every single student was on TikTok and had like
does not work
followers by those things. Yeah.
So they are just basic. They are no one.
I mean, maybe
they don't have anything to them.
Maybe I know
other than being rude.
You would hate this, but I think it would probably help narratively if they really hammered home that like Regina was like TikTok famous, like maybe like globally,
but
like
that makes
she was a celebrity.
That makes sense. Yeah,
but they
that's
never showed. I don't know if they ever showed like how many followers everyone had, but they should have made it clear like she's like famous because she does videos.
She's an influencer or something cringe like that.
Because I'm sure schools have that. I mean, a guy in my year at school, he has like 5 million followers on TikTok because he inflates rubber things and then with water and then they explode. Like, you know, it does, I think it. Yeah, I think. And
us, we've got 30.
We've got 30 subscribers, so we're almost on the same level. And so, if Regina George was like a sort of us type character, then I get why she'd be so popular. And so, no,
it makes sense.
I think she should have been an influencer. I think because they were sticking too much with the musical. It was all that balance of new stuff to the stage musical and new stuff. How much stage musical? How much original film? How much new? And I think they just got that balance wrong. And I think if they got that balance right, it could have worked. But they made
through and through.
There's a lot of choices they had to make, and I think they made the wrong choices in a lot of areas.
So what did you rate Mean Girls 2024?
I rated it 3 stars. At the end of the day, it did entertain me. I mean, like I said, like there's so many faults with it. but I thought I did laugh at quite a lot of jokes because I love the original so much. I was sort of always invested in seeing how they did it differently. And I thought, obviously the cast weren't as good, but I thought most of them were still working with what they had quite well. So yeah, I thought it was an entertaining film, and I think considering I didn't have a rotten time watching it, I can't rate it too lowly.
I gave it half a star, and I would not wish this on my worst enemy.
Fair enough.
If you want a film to laugh at, but not a lot, then this is for you.
I think there's a lot of worse films.
I would not recommend watching this.
I mean, I don't know. The films I give half a star to are worse than this. But each to their own. I think we both have the same points. It's just because I think was superficially entertained. I was entertained by it, but I thought it was more fun than you did. Right, we're done with that now, I think.
Now on to filmmaking lessons. What did you take away from either Mean Girls 2004 or Mean Girls 2024?
So the original Mean Girls, actually in a weird way, reminded me of Hot Fuzz in that they both felt like 3 hours long, like 2.5 hours long. When Hot Fuzz is 2 hours, Mean Girls is an hour and a half. But I mean this in the best possible way because every scene is iconic, every line is iconic. The plot is always moving. There's a lot of plot points. It's always moving forward. They're always in different situations. It feels like you watch like a series of telly almost. And it feels like you really, really know the characters.
It's all relevant, isn't it?
You're all not wasting relevant. Any time. There's no faffing. No, it's not at all. Every scene is like, maybe not very long, but every line is relevant. It adds something. You learn new information. You get a good joke.
Yeah.
And so it feels like, even though I've only spent an hour and a half with these characters, it feels like you really know them. And I think that's a great lesson. I think it's what Edgar Wright is just a master of. Is just sort of using your time, your like 2 hours, hour and a half, whatever, of a film to get the most out of it as possible. Don't mess around. Don't waste the audience's time. You just go straight to it. Edgar Wright talks about like when he needs to show that a character has arrived somewhere via bus, he'll show a shot of like literally a second of like the bus pulling in, feet stepping off it, and then you're there, and it's like, okay, that's all you need. Or like he'll do like a whole montage that's like half a second shots at each one, and then you're straight there, and it's
like when Sergeant Angel's going to
Sanford, the town,
and you
perfect
see that
filmmaking, It's how long's that sequence? 20 seconds? Whereas my mum was watching the Madame Blanc mysteries yesterday, and there was like a scene where there was an establishing shot of a bridge to show what town just as filler, because we already know what town it's saying. And then it showed her car driving all the way down the road, pulling up. This is one shot, and then she gets out the car, walks all the way up a path, and then knocks on a door. Just show her knocking on a door. Why did we faff around with all of the rest of that? And I said to my mum, like, this is unbearable. How can you possibly watch this? And so, I think that's a lesson I learned from Mean Girls is make every second count. You use most of your time, cut anything that's filler, and you can make a really entertaining film.
But 90% of the time, on 90% of films, your film's going to end up being about half an hour long if you cut all of that.
And some films don't suit being dense, but I think most of them do. Especially with like student films and like amateur films. The worst part of them is they're too long and boring. They're too slow. Yeah. There's too much filler, and I think that's a great lesson to learn. And my lesson for the new one, I think we've already covered.
Don't be shit.
It needs to suit the art form, basically. You need to tell the story in a way that makes sense to the story you're telling. Like, not everything needs to be musical, and when it is a musical, it needs to be the right sort of musical. It needs to you need to think about who your audience are and tailor to that. Like, you know what I mean? We covered that.
The one you said first, that is the main thing to have in your head when doing any filmmaking.
I mean, that's what I'm doing in Mayfly right now in my editing. Is it's cut down so much, so it's so fast paced. Yeah, and it does mean that because I've cut loads of lines, maybe we should have done that in pre-production, really. So it means maybe the cuts is quite quick because I have to cut to a different angle to remove lines. But I think that makes it so much more watchable than it would be if we kept in every single thing we shot. It would just be the slowest, most boring exposition ever. So it needs to just be snappy, joke. But we're learning, but we're learning information, and it's just always going ahead. That's
always pushing forward.
That's what,
like a shark. If a shark goes backwards, it dies.
It drowns.
Remember that?
Yeah. You can't stop. They sleep while they're swimming. What's next? Curse double features?
Curse double features.
Oh shit, boy.
Oh shitballs.
Who's going first? Do you want to go first? Because I'll
go first.
I won't lie. I think mine are quite good, and I hope you like them. Okay.
Mine are. I would probably pair Mean Girls 2004 with Heathers.
Okay.
Because it's the same film.
Some of our like cursed double features are not so cursed. They're pretty normal.
And for the new one, I would pair it with Heathers the musical.
What?
Because it's the same musical. And I would also pair it with Freaky. You know that one?
Yeah.
That recent remake of Freaky Friday?
I can't remember if I watched. I did watch it. Is that the Vince?
Yeah.
What's it?
Yes, yeah.
And Catherine
by the
Newton,
guy
was
did
it?
Happy Death Day.
Yeah, I watched that.
Because it's a significantly worse remake of a Lindsay Lohan classic.
Great. Right, so I've got one for the original, which it doesn't really work, to be completely honest. This is my weakest of the three. The OG Mean Girls and the live-action Beauty and the Beast, because they both feature the ugliest effing skirt I've ever seen in my whole life. And I've written after that, maybe don't do this one because it's actually a dress in Beauty and the Beast, but God, it was awful, wasn't it? I don't know if you know, like Emma Watson's like yellow. It's really, really ugly.
Is it really bad?
It's really bad. When you look at like Lily James's Cinderella one a few years earlier, that's very good. Oh, yeah. It's not good. Anyway,
you know, I'll take your word for that one.
It's not a good piece of costume design. Right, and then my next one is the new Mean Girls and Wonka, because it's just nice to go to the cinema these days and not have to watch a fucking musical. I haven't seen the film yet. I've only seen the trailers, but like it's just so good to see there's no singing in sight. Oh God, I can't wait for the colour purple.
That's a really good one. Wow. And you got one more?
I've got one more. This is for both of them.
Wow.
I've got Mean Girls and Bad Boys, because I just think they get along. Maybe they'd hang out on the mean streets with their friends Dirty Harry and Horrid Henry the movie. The Mean Girls are skiving off school trying to avoid their bad teacher, and the Bad Boys are hiding from their horrible bosses.
Man, I love Adjective and Noun. That's my favourite film. Don't you love Adjective and Noun?
They're the best. So yeah, I think I was quite proud of them.
That was really good. They're probably the best we've got so far, actually.
Oh,
out of all of us. Wow. Short and messages. We neither have a short nor messages.
No, I feel like we talked about Mean Girls for a long, long time. Yeah, so we will at some point talk about our friend Josh Clark's feature film, The Mysterious Events at the Lawrence Estate. But maybe we should do that once it's out on streaming, which will be ages away because I think it's in festivals.
Yeah. Anyone at home, anyone listening, if it's your first time listening, hello, thank you for listening. If you have any messages or would like to take part in one of our polls or any short films or anything you'd like us to talk about, send it through. Any of our social medias or our email. What are you smirking at?
Just my own comedic genius reading that again.
Yes, we usually do a short film review here, but I think we've gone on way too long talking about Mean Girls.
I think so.
So we're not going to do one this week.
No.
But yeah, any messages, any cursable features, send them through. And that's the week.
That's the week. Oh, well, I enjoyed that. That was quite good fun.
Yeah, really good.
Next week, I don't know if we're 100% on what we're doing. We might do a get your laughs out of the way now, because we might be doing the Zone of Interest, which let's hope won't be a comic episode. I'm really looking forward to seeing the film, but it's not going to...
What do you know about it? Because I don't know anything.
All I know is it's about Rudolf Hoss and his family, who is the commandant of Auschwitz, and it's all set in his house, which is like next to the camp. And it's all like... From the trailer, they're all like really wide shots, and you're basically just like a fly on the wall watching.
Interesting.
And then you can see the tops of some of the buildings in Auschwitz, and you can... Apparently the sound design is like horrifying. I mean, it's nominated for an Oscar. You never see Auschwitz, you just hear it, and you see it's about like them living a normal happy family life while he goes to work every day and does that. And apparently it's very, very sad, very horrifying, but very thought-provoking, and it's nominated for Best Picture. And I've been wanting to see it for months. Jonathan Glazer directs it, who directed Under the Skin, which is a film that I really love.
Love Under the Skin. Yeah,
So I'm excited to see it, but assuming that's our next episode, it won't be a very funny one, I don't think.
It won't be very funny unless we pair it with something funny.
Okay. I tried to think of something funny that I backed out and didn't say it.
Yeah, that is very sensible. Very sensible.
I think, to be honest, the film that I'm most like is probably The Boy in the Striped Pajamas, I think. But also, if we're going to talk about, inevitably talk about sort of Holocaust cinema, I think maybe Schindler's List is a good one to watch too, because I'm sure I'll be talking about it.
So next week, it'll be a happy one. Get ready.
Well, yeah. Great.
Do you tune in for entertainment? Because you won't get that here next week.
No, you won't. You'll feel really sad.
Well, thank you very much, Matthew Vivian.
Thank you. I've had a very fetch time.
Wow, I've had insert phrase that was also tried to be coined in the new time.
Okay. I thought you'd end the podcast by saying stop trying to make fetch happen. It's not going to happen. But I mean, we did that.
Sorry.
Well, let's do something else.
Yeah,
okay,
sorry,
let's do something else. You try and say something, and needs to be something else that's not fetch though.
Okay.
Oh, we did that. We ended the last episode like that, didn't we?
Oh, we did.
We did.
That's
Never
not funny.
mind.
We have to make it Holocaust related this time.
Let's.
You can line me up for that one. Go on.
No, I think we're good. Right.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Thank you, Matt, and I'll see you on the next one.
I will unfortunately also see you on the next one.
That's not very enthusiastic.
Oh my god, I can't wait for next week. No, I'll see you on the next one too. I'll take that tone down.
Adios.
That's inappropriate. I too shall see you on the next one. No, that's too sad now. That sounds fake.
Yes. Yeah.
Bye.
Goodbye.